All this is vitally important to you when you begin to study the practice of concentration because your success depends largely on your ability to begin the work in the right mood. The work is hard and its first stages are disheartening. Days and weeks and months will pass before one begins to get any striking results. If you begin in the wrong mood, these difficulties will soon lead you to abandon practice. If you begin with the idea that you are going to unfold wonderful powers which will raise you above your fellows, or if in any other way your motive for study be a selfish one, it is extremely unlikely that you will persevere long enough to get results. But if you begin with the understanding that this work aims to make you more lovely, by making you more lovable, more beautiful, by making you stronger, more serviceable, by turning all your life force into constructive action which shall make your world a better one for all its inhabitants, then the power of the ideal thus set before you will carry you through the periods of depression, through the troughs of the waves, on to ultimate success. Those apparent setbacks, these moments of depression following a period of exaltation, are simply expressions of the great law of alternation or vibration. We warn you of them now so that they may not surprise or disturb you. You cannot maintain yourself at the highest levels of consciousness all the time. Your body could not stand the strain. Neither can you expect to make steady progress in concentration as if you were walking up a long, gradual incline. You will have your ups and downs. Some days the exercises will be easy, and you will be happy over your success. Other days will come when you will have more breaks than usual, and the more you try to concentrate, the more your thought will wander from the selected image. Curb your elation over a successful day, and be sure not to let yourself become unhappy over an unsuccessful one. Waves gather force for their ascent while they are at the very lowest point of the trough. So it is in mental practice. A bad day is one in which you are gathering your forces. The main thing is to keep on. No matter how many times your attention wanders in the quarter hour of practice, bring it resolutely back to the selected image. Keep your record just as carefully on bad days as on good ones. Never for a moment trouble your mind about any other member of the class, and do not compare notes as to your progress. This is important. You are responsible to no other person in this work but me. Be sure that I shall play no favorites. If you begin to compare notes, you will do yourself and your associates much harm. If you find it easy to concentrate, you will discourage your less gifted neighbor by a recital of your successes. If concentration is hard for you, you only make it harder by telling other people so. And above all, I wish to avoid the spirit of emulation or competition, which may be at the life of trade, but is fatal to success in the work we are engaged in. The force you are learning to control is depicted in the 8th tarot key as a lion, because the lion, when we think of him as the king of beasts, is a synthesis of all powers of nature. Below the human level, in Hebrew the noun for lion and also for the zodiacal sign Leo is Aryeh. Hi, Angie. Observe the numeration of this world. It is 216 in the number of Geburah, the sphere of Mars, and of Said, the faculty attributed to the letter H, corresponding to Aries, one of the 2 houses of Mars. Furthermore, the same number 216 is that of the noun anger, wrath, excitement, the faculty corresponding to the letter S assigned to the sign Sagittarius. Thus, to every one of the 3 signs of the fiery triplicity in the zodiac, the Kabbalah gives a name which corresponds by gematria to the names assigned to the other 2 signs of the same triplicity. To Aries, sight. For the perfection of the inner vision is the end of concentration, and he who attains to it restores the emperor of creation to his throne. To Leo the lion, because this beast is a symbol of all the forms of force which must be controlled before the higher vision may be experienced. To Sagittarius, excitement or intense activity of the desire nature, because this is what gives us courage to persist and supports us as like a staff in our progress towards liberation. What is this fiery power? It is the Mars force, ruling in Aries, where it has its highest throne, and active in Leo and Sagittarius because these signs partake of its own essential quality. It is the force exalted in Capricorn, the sign symbolized by the devil, and represented in that picture by the demon's inverted torch, as well as by the inverted pentagram upon his forehead. It is the force again whose most occult aspects are those connected with the letter Nun, with the sign Scorpio, and with the symbolism of the 13th key. Finally, it is the force whose sphere of action is the 5th Sephira Gabura. Consider it in all these aspects until you know what it is that you are learning to master when you set out to learn how to concentrate. It seems to us that more open exposition of the nature of this force has never been given. Certainly we would not make it any clearer if we could, for if any reader of these pages remains in ignorance after this plain exposition of a secret long kept hidden, that ignorance betrays him as one who has heard and read, but who has done no work. A word further concerning the number 216. It has something to do with the number of beads whereby you are to record the breaks in your practice. Even as the color and the substance of the beads were not chosen at random, so has the number several hidden meanings which are really suggestions to your subconsciousness. The number 108 is half of 216, so that the beads in your rosary symbolize the synthesis of the opposite or polar manifestations of the Mars force and a higher mode of expression. That is because 108 is half of 216. It suggests drawing together a concentration of the forces of Gabura. Thus your beads symbolize that transcending of the pairs of opposites which the sages recommend. He who transcends the pairs of opposites is on the middle way, and the Hebrew noun for middle is 108. The first letter of this noun signifies speech. The second corresponds to the faculty of meditation, and the function attributed to the third is that of coition. Control of speech through meditation leads to the perfect marriage of the consciousness with the subconsciousness. That perfect union is the occult significance of coition, and it is the uniting of subject and object which results in the experience of superconsciousness. The numbers 216 and 108 have the same least number 9, so that both refer to the force of cosmic electricity, the Fohat of the Theosophical teaching, which H.P. Blavatsky tells us is represented by the letter Teth. And because 9 is also the number of the Sephira Yesod, the root of that power is the activity centered in that Sephira. Your beads then, because the least number of the total is 9, symbolize the cosmic force of Fohat, the serpent fire of the letter Teth, and relate also to the center where that force is most active in human life. The color is that of the Saturnine influence of limitation dominant in Capricorn, the devil in the tarot. The material wood is chosen for two reasons. First, because wood is an organic substance which absorbs personal emanations of the astral light, so that your bead string would eventually be a reservoir of your personal forces. Second, because wood is in Greek, the Hyli was the Gnostic name for the astral light. Thus your rosary symbolizes the force you are learning to control, and it also represents the means you will use in order to control that serpent power. The number of beads has yet another meaning. It is composed of the symbols 1, 0, and 8. Let 8 serve to remind you of the law of vibration symbolized by strength. Let 0 recall the fact that the goal of concentration is union with that one, which is neither ought nor not, whose tarot symbol is the Fool. Let 1 bring to your recollection the Magician, for this key shows exactly what happens when you concentrate. You remember that we interpret this key as a symbol of attention. It shows an adept in the act of concentration. The power he uses is being brought down from above. Here is a subtlety, for one result of concentration is the rising of the Mars force from lower to higher centers of the sympathetic nervous system. That is what the Hindus mean when they say that concentration raises the Kundalini. What they do not say, for no Hindu occultist ever makes a complete statement concerning any phase of practical work, is that the serpent power rises in response to the descent of the undifferentiated prana from above. In concentration, we do not try to lift up the Kundalini by main force, as if we were trying to raise ourselves by our bootstraps. We simply open ourselves to the descending current of light which flows down from Kether, and that current, when it returns, raises the serpent fire from chakra to chakra. For it must never be forgotten that the astral light is cosmic electricity, and every electrician knows that no matter what the application we make of that force, it must always pass from a higher to a lower potential. Begin every period of concentration, therefore, by reciting the affirmations, beginning with the first. During the recitation, picture the white light of Kether descending through the course of the lightning flash on the tree of life, changing color as it passes from Sephira to Sephira, from the white of Kether to the opalescent gray of Kokma, from this to the black of Binah, and so on until you reach Malkuth, where you should visualize the color cross of the four elements, citrine, russet, slate, and black. Thus you will set up in the sphere of your personality the vibrations of every aspect of the One, LVX, and so prepare yourself for the work that follows. Do not use the colors in the morning and evening use of that affirmations, or at any other time except as a preliminary to concentrate practice. This exercise should not be explained to affiliates of the builders who have not advanced into the second section, and it should never be mentioned to outsiders. It is by no means all imagination. You really set up the vibratory action of these forces when you recite the affirmations and visualize the colors at the same time. Another thing to notice about the magician is that his left hand makes a gesture indicating definite purpose. He is directing his power to a plane below that of his own existence for a specific reason. The plane below him is shown as a garden, which typifies the subconscious. In concentration, remember always that you seek to impress some definite images upon the subconscious. You do not draw down the power from Kether without any particular object. You aim to accomplish some concrete modification of the subconscious field of activity. What the purpose may be will vary from day to day according to the circumstances. It will always have certain characteristics. You will use the force either to promote the culture of a desired image, roses, or also to develop some seed of intellectual perception, lilies. Again, whatever the exercise may be, it will necessarily partake of the dominant quality of one of the implements symbolizing the elements. For in each path on the tree of life, one of the elements predominates, except in the 10th, Malkuth, in the 3rd, Binah, the 2nd, Kokma, and the 1st, Kether. These four being synthetic paths in which the operation of all four elements is mingled without any one element predominating. The garments of the magician show that the outer aspect of the one force utilized in concentration is Rajas, sulfur, or the fiery desire nature red, while the inner reality is Sattva, mercury, or the white brilliance of Kether. For it is really the descent of power from Kether which does the work, although the manifestation of power takes the Rajasic form of the ascent of Kundalini. The magician's serpent girdle symbolizes the tamasic limitation imposed upon the white light of Kether in all concentration practice. The exercises to be practiced in connection with this lesson are connected with the 32nd path of the Tao, the 31st path of Shin, the 30th path of Resh. In the exercises for the 32nd path, imagine yourself also to be in Malkuth, by projecting your consciousness upward toward Yesod. In the practice of concentration connected with the 30th path, however, you must imagine yourself as being placed in Hod, and as drawing power up from Yesod to Hod along the channel of that path. Observe these directions carefully, even though the reasons therefore may not be evident at a first reading. Place your watch where you can see it without having to alter your position to look at it, and practice 5 minutes of your 15-minute period on each path. By so doing, you avoid strain in these first exercises, because the shifting of attention at the end of 5 minutes from one path to another is a kind of rest. On the first day of practice, confine yourself to the color of the path. Begin with the color cross of Malkuth, and then picture a ray of deep indigo force passing upward from the citrine segment of Malkuth toward Yesod. See yourself projecting that force upward and inward. Whenever the image wavers, slip a bead on your string. At first, this action of slipping the beads will interfere with concentration, but eventually it will become automatic, as will the noting of the passage of time. In passing, I may say that this work will ultimately provide you with a sort of interior clock so that you will be able to estimate the passage of time automatically. After the first 5 minutes, change to the path of Shin, picturing a red ray projected upward from the russet segment of Malkuth. Then after 5 minutes of this, place yourself in Hod, seeing yourself surrounded by a sphere of orange light, and see a ray of the same light being drawn upward to you from the sphere of Yesod. This imagined activity is an actual correspondence when one succeeds in this particular exercise. On the second day, concentrate on the planetary symbols and elementary symbol. Begin with Saturn and visualize the symbol in color, holding it firmly before your mental gaze and recording as a break each variation in color or shape. Next, take the path of Shin and imagine an upright red triangle. Finish this series of concentrations with the path of Resh and use a sun symbol in orange. The third day, use the Hebrew letters, visualizing each in its proper color. The fourth day, using your pitch pipe or the piano, which is not nearly so good to give you the turn, sound the names of the 3 letters, one during each 5 minutes, first audibly and then internally. The fifth day, picture the corresponding tarot keys. The sixth day, use this formula. I am the administrative intelligence, uniting the kingdom of light to its foundation. During the first 5 minutes and the succeeding 5 minutes, say, I am the perpetual intelligence, which rules the 2 great lights of consciousness. And in the last 5 minutes, say, I am the collecting intelligence, gathering up the force of the foundation and concentrating it in the sphere of splendor. The 7th day, you should do no practices. At the end of the period, make a brief record of the following things. Time practice began. Number of breaks in each 5-minute period. Easiest part of exercise. Hardest part of exercise. Any unusual impressions. This record is essential, and I shall wish to examine it from time to time. A good record contains few words, and one that describes a lot of marvelous psychic experiences a very, very bad one. Up next, we have the power of the mind. Okay, this is called Esoteric Secrets of Meditation and Magic, Volume 2, The Early Writings by Paul Foster Case. All right, good night, everybody.